Once upon a time, in a faraway land known as Forks, Washington, there lived a doctor named Carlisle Cohen. Carlisle was on his way to work at Forks Community Hospital, excited to spend another day being a helpful member of the Forks community. When he entered his office, the nurse, Stephanie, handed him his paperwork for the day. He read through his list of patients and noticed Police Chief Charlie Swan's name. Carlisle hummed to himself thoughtfully. He hadn't seen Charlie in a while. That was with Carlisle. The brunette was the type to avoid the doctors at all costs. Carlisle blushed at the thought of the robust officer and his thick, coarse mustache. The nurse Stephanie walked in. Stephanie walked in again, and Carlisle quickly turned away and pretended to look over the rest of the paperwork. Sometime later, Police Chief Charlie Swan walked into Forks Community Hospital. The officer was quite embarrassed about the problem that had brought him into the hospital today. You see, every time he'd been to the bathroom for the last 2 weeks, he'd had some trouble doing what was needed. Charlie's face turned bright red behind his mustache thinking about it. With a heavy sigh, he exited his police cruiser and entered the large building. Nurse Stephen greeted Charlie cheerfully at the front desk and walked him to a room. Just as the nurse was planning to take his vitals, she heard some commotion from the hall. A crazy old lady was shouting, screaming, "What about the eggs?" The nurse hurried off to deal with the situation, informing Carlisle that he would need to start Charlie's appointment himself. Carlisle hesitated for a moment, color rising to his cheek. Let's just put a fucking European spelling in there. Rising to his cheeks, but being the professional that he was, Carlisle quickly made his way to the exam room. Charlie stood in the exam room, idly shifting back and forth on his feet, fidgeting with the shiny silver cuffs on his belt. Charlie flinched as the door to the room came open. A tall blonde man entered the room, smiling warmly. It was Forks Community Hospital's very own Carlisle Cohen. Charlie had known the doctor for a few years now, and while he didn't know the man very well, Charlie thought highly of the man. I didn't realize how many times I used the word "the man." It took a lot of dedication to become a medical practitioner. Charlie noticed his bright brown eyes, looking almost golden in the right light. "Good morning, Officer Swan, right?" the blonde said, extending his hand for the officer to take. Charlie grasped it firmly and noticed the frigid temperature of the doctor's smooth white hand. "Chilly in here, eh, Doc?" He didn't even confirm that it was Charlie. The brunette commented casually. Carlisle's grin faltered for just a brief moment. Had Charlie said something wrong? There was an awkward pause before the doctor finally said, "What brings you here today?" Charlie suddenly remembered it had come in for and turned away from the blonde, embarrassed. The topic was not something he was used to discussing. He remembered before building up the courage to respond. "Well, here's the thing, Doc. I've been having issues with, well..." Charlie muttered, his face turning quite red. He looked down and back up quickly. "Restroom issues," he proclaimed, looking ashamed. Charles smiled to himself knowingly. This was the first time he dealt with a patient that was shy about these sorts of things. It's perfectly natural to be shy about these sorts of things. Officer Swan, "Charlie, call me Charlie," Charlie responded, trying to ease the situation. "Well, Charlie, why don't you change into a gown and we can start checking your vitals?" the intelligent blonde answered warmly. He turned to enter the side room, giving Charlie some privacy as he prepared for the exam. Looking down at the clipboard, he caught sight of his thumb and examined his hand. Charlie had noticed the coolness of it much to Carlisle's dismay. Being a vampire was so hard sometimes. He pondered what he could do to alleviate the chill. Oh, we're gonna do ooh the whole time. I need to pee. Charlie tentatively began undressing, taking off his police-issued jacket and shirt. He moved to remove his belt and started to pull down his pants. Just then, Carl walked in, interrupting the poor mustachioed man. Charlie reflexively pulled his pants back up. The handcuffs that normally hung at his waist jingled lightly, excuse me. "Oh dear, my apologies," the blonde apologized. "I'll give you some more time," he said sheepishly, leaving the room, a bright red flush adorning his high cheekbones. Charlie once again began lowering his slacks and eventually managed to tie the gown in the back. Carswell gently knocked at the door and waited for the brunette to give the okay before entering. They breezed through the exam, and with Carwell noting that there didn't seem to be anything wrong with Charlie's forward-facing anatomy. Carwell probed Charlie about how he'd been feeling lately, hitting all the normal questions one would expect. Alright, excuse the intrusion, but with the quick visual inspection, everything looks alright from here, so we'll have to progress to a digital examination. Charlie said, Carwell said clinic, you get it, he's a doctor, but internally his non-beating heart was fluttering out of control. Charlie's eyes widened to the size of saucers. Are you sure about that, Doc? His voice trembling slightly. Carwell smiled apologetically. I'm afraid so, but think of it this way. There's 2 spaces here. You'll be needing to start getting these regularly soon. This is sort of a head start. Charlie started for a moment. Oh, I did misspell that purposefully. Charlie started for a moment, not feeling too keen on the idea that he trusted the doctor's opinion. So how do we start? The pantsless man mumbled, looking away. Is pantsless not spelled correctly? Oh, I see. Pantless, yeah. I'll need to fetch a few supplies. Sit tight. Wink. For a moment, the physician announced. Charlie sat with his thoughts. With an S. Wishing he'd done just about anything else today. Carwell went back to the Whittle side room and got the equipment he would need for the procedure. He set the lubricant in a small cup of water to warm idly think of his hands once again. He had always been self-conscious of their iciness, other than the bloodless. It was the thing he hated most about being a vampire. As he was about to put on gloves, he eyed the warming, slippery liquid. A revelation suddenly struck him. Water could heat more than just lube. Quickly, he popped into the exam room and took that he would be a few moments longer. Okay, there we go. The pale, educated man called Nurse Stephanie and asked her to bring him a basin while he snuck his way to the break room and eyed the coffee maker. Before anyone could notice, he quickly removed the steaming pot from its perch. He walked the boiling liquid back to the side room and was thankful that Nurse Stephanie had not stuck around after delivering the vessel. The blonde then proceeded to pour the dark ebony liquid, dark ebony twink into the basin, smiling to himself and his brilliant plan. Gingerly, he submerged his long and tapered digits into the tepid, caffeinated elixir. He waited several minutes for the solution to do his work, a solution as a solution, if you will. Finally satisfied with the new-found life he'd introduced to his palms, Carwell made his way back into the exam room. Charlie sat impatiently, despite being a patient, as he had been waiting an awfully long time without anything to cover him up below the waist. He sniffed annoyed at the long wait. In order to familiar scent of heightened Java, Carwell snapped bright teal gloves on and with a smile told Charlie, "Can you please bend over the table?" The end.